Is that too high? Alright, now before we install this electric motor on the frame, we do need to do some type of modification to this one-way ratcheting mechanism to get it to work for the setup that we have. Now, some of you guys have caught this and commented in the past couple videos about this isn't gonna work, this isn't the correct rotation, and it's not gonna work for the pedals, and you guys are right. So to solve this, all we gotta do is unthread this, flip it around, and then thread it back on. That way, the motor can spin up and it's not gonna force the pedals to spin up and everything. And then when we want to pedal, the one-way ratcheting will catch being able to spin the motor with the pedals. Now, the downside to this is now the one-way now as we're trying to pedal, it's now going to try and unthread itself. But to solve that, all we really gotta do is just semi-permanently fix this onto the motor. Now I could try to use either Loctite or some type of glue or maybe JB Weld or something, but I don't think that those are gonna be strong enough. I think the better option is welding this in place. Now, I know welding sounds way more permanent than thread lock or some type of glue, but if done properly, it's gonna be stronger than any thread lock. And if we ever want to disassemble this to change this setup, because I don't think this setup's gonna be permanent. I really think we're gonna have to change a bunch of stuff to get this setup to work, and we may want to remove this in the future. And to remove it, all you really gotta do is just grind the weld down, and then you can re-unthread it and everything. So, and I did test these metals. I do believe these are weldable. They do produce sparks when I grind them. I just really hope it's the weldable kind of steel, but we're gonna find out. I'm gonna thread this all the way on, and then just try to do just 2 little welds on each side. That way it'll be semi-permanently fixed, but not to the point where we can never get this back off. So, alright, I really hope this works. I also hope it doesn't damage the motor somehow, but I don't think it will. It's working. Alright. I think that works. Now all we gotta do if we do want to disassemble this is just grind the weld down. It may damage the freewheel, I guess that's what this is called. It may damage it a little bit, but you can just buy those on, you know, eBay or Amazon for pretty cheap, as long as we don't damage the motor. Now this doesn't have to withstand that much torque. It's not withstanding the torque of the motor, which is good. All this has to withstand is the torque of the pedals, which I'll be honest, I'm probably not gonna be pedaling this thing that much. It just needs to, we just need to make it to where this won't unthread itself when we do have to pedal. Alright, so I already drilled the holes to mount the controller. Hopefully they line up. Alright, that mounts perfectly right there. Alright, now I had to buy some new parts for this project because the original parts on this mountain bike were kind of really old and beat up. So we got new chain, as well as new pedals, new gear selector, as well as gear shifter. The original gear shifter was just bent and, you know, broken in a couple spots. The original gear selector, the mount that mounts this thing onto the handlebars, was broken. So I had to buy new ones, as well as obviously we need new chain for this thing. So this is the chain that goes from the pedals to the motor. Let's get that installed first. That'll get it to where we have the motor exactly where it needs to go. Then we can install the gear selector and gear shifter and get the chain going from the motor to the rear tire installed. Yeah, this is ridiculous. I know. It's, is this going to work? I have no, I do have my doubts that this flimsy bicycle chain will be able to handle the power of this, but I want to see. I want to see how it works. I want to see how fast I can go with this, you know, gearing setup. Alright, now the brake bleeder kit that I bought on Amazon got here this morning, so I spent a couple hours bleeding the brakes as well as replacing the brake pads. I didn't bother showing it just because nobody wants to watch me bleed brakes, but the brakes are working a whole lot better than they were before, so yeah, they finally work now. So now before we move on and do anything else, I first want to clarify this again. I did say this at the end of part 1, but let me just say this again. I do know, and I am well aware, that this setup that we currently have between the electric motor and the rear tire is not strong enough to be able to handle the torque of this electric motor. Bicycle chain and bicycle sprockets were never designed to be able to withstand the torque of an 8,000 watt electric hub motor. But the reason I'm doing this is because first of all, I'm just curious to see maybe does this work, because there's a slight chance that this maybe works if we upgrade some things. And I'm just curious, like, does this work? How well does this work? Also, what breaks? How easily does it break? And also, can we replace whatever breaks with something stronger to maybe get this setup to work? So that's why I'm doing this. I want to try and see if we can maybe get this to work before upgrading all this stuff, because I do plan on, you know, once this fails and once we can't get this thing to work, I do plan on upgrading the stuff with bigger chain. Also, I have a plan on how to build a new custom tire that's still a bicycle tire, but it's upgraded spokes. It's a custom machined hub that has bigger bearings, bigger mounts and all that kind of stuff. Something that's way bigger and stronger than you can ever get for a bicycle tire, but that still has the bicycle tire and bicycle rim, because I could just get like a dirt bike tire or like a pit bike tire, but I want to keep this as much of a mountain bike as possible. So if we have to upgrade some things, you know, but still have it to where it's a bicycle tire and bicycle rim. I do plan on doing that if we have to. Anyway, now let's get the battery installed. Let's figure out how we're mounting it in the frame and everything, and then start working on wiring this thing up. Yeah, not the proper way of doing it, but just temporarily this will work. Now to help with chain alignment, because when it's in 9th gear, it's kind of aligned, but in 1st gear it's way off, and it's like tries to, you can hear it try to like jump off the sprocket. So I made this basically just a chunk of aluminum that I cut a slot, and then I rounded the corners off on this side, and then drilled and tapped 2 holes, drilled 2 holes right here. So therefore you can just simply bolt it on just like that, and that should hopefully keep the chain aligned, so therefore it won't ever try to jump off the sprocket. It may make a little bit of noise as we're riding this, but I don't know, I think we're just gonna have to deal with that. This thing helps perfectly to realign the chain, so it should make it to where it doesn't try to pop off the sprocket. Alright, plugging it in. Yeah, these wires are still loose. I still need to, you know, zip tie them together, but this motor is gonna spin. I think it's gonna spin backwards. I think because I flipped this thing around, so it should spin backwards. I just want to verify that it does. Alright, turning on. It's on. Yeah, dang it. Alright, it spins backwards, but all I gotta do is just flip some wires around, and that should fix that issue. So let me turn it back off. Yeah, that worked. Okay, that's on 1. Let's put it up to 5. Let's first make sure no wires are going to get sucked into the wheel. Alright, let's see if this works. Okay, that's alright, that's 1st gear. Slowly spin it up. Oh man. This thing is, I'm hoping that's not top speed with this motor. It's not spinning that fast. I wish I had one of those speed guns that like tells you the RPM. I wish I had one of those so we can find out like what RPM this thing's turning at. Oh, wow. What was that? What was that? Okay, so I'm gonna do a test, because that has been like, you know, easy rolling on the throttle. I'm gonna do a test. This, right now the gearing is 1 to 1. I'm going to, from a dead stop, slam on the throttle as hard as I can and see if it survives. Because honestly, if it's gonna break, I'd rather have it break now than when I'm riding it, when my leg's close to here. And if it survives, I'll go to 9th gear, the fastest gear, and do it again and see if it survives that. Safety glasses engaged. Alright, also filming with my phone. Here we go. It's surviving. Okay, if it's gonna break, it's gonna be now. So and there goes the chain on the sprocket. Nice. I guess my chain alignment tool is kind of working. I don't know. What if I hold the brake down? Not all the way, but just a little bit. Let me do it on the let me do it on the 1st gear. Alright, I'm holding the brake down a little bit. Man, this thing bucks. Okay, what was that? Ooh, we're cooking the brakes. So it survived that. It's working. It's working our initial testing, so that's a good sign. But now after seeing this, now I'm a little terrified of this thing. So I guess next, let's zip tie the wires to where they're nice and neat. And I guess the next thing we gotta do is actually test this thing. Alright, so I just bent up some piece of flat stock, and we're gonna be using this as like a rudimentary chain guard. And I'm just gonna weld it in place. So alright, there's our chain guard. Yeah, this thing's definitely a little bit heavier than a normal mountain bike. Yeah, I'm tightening up this rear spring because this thing's definitely gonna need it. So, looking at this, yeah, we're definitely gonna have some ground clearance issues. This is about 7 inches off the ground. We do have 6 inches of suspension travel in the front. I'm not sure how much we have in the rear, but yeah, unfortunately, we're probably gonna have some ground clearance. The reason I put this right here is because my thought process was like, oh, I don't want to mount it too high because then that raises our center of gravity. That just makes it to where I have to mount the battery higher and everything. But, you know, what's better? Ground clearance or a low center of gravity? Ideally both. You definitely want both, but ground clearance definitely is nice. So this may be an issue. Let's just consider this the prototype. Next one I build of this, we're gonna use a better motor, better ground clearance and all that kind of stuff, but let's say this is the prototype. Alright, I want to see what kind of a smoky burnout this thing can do. This needs a new tire anyways, so let's burn this one off. It's not that fast. Let's go in a higher gear. Ninth gear, how about that? Oh man. Yeah, it can do a burnout. It's also skipping teeth pretty bad. I'm not sure how exciting that was. That wasn't really that impressive of a burnout. I've definitely done better, but... Alright, it's the next day. It's finally not raining, so we can take this thing up the street and actually see if this setup will work. I'm going to try to be super easy on the throttle. This test is mainly just to figure out how fast this thing is and what the gearing difference feels like between 1-to-1 gearing and the slower gears and faster gears. I'm going to first start out in 2nd gear, and then we're going to go to 5th gear, and then I want to see how fast this thing can go in 9th gear. So I got 2 outside camera angles, this one right here, and then that one up there, and then the one on my chest. So if this chain does break, we should get good footage of it. All right, I'm starting off on the slowest gear. Here we go. I just hope the chain doesn't break immediately. Oh, it's moving. This is full speed on assist 3. Let me turn it up. There's 5. Okay, let's change the gears. Let's go faster. One more. All right, it's now 1-to-1 gearing. Here's nothing. It's on 5, so it's the motor is the fastest it can go, and the gearing is 1-to-1. All right, let's try it. I'm really trying to be easy on the throttle. Yep. Oh. Skipping teeth. And there it went. And there it went. Oh. Did the chain snap? Wow. I forgot about this pole. All right, what happened? So it's skipping teeth pretty bad. And that was like quarter throttle, not even. Okay, let's go to the slower gears. Take a little bit of pressure off of this. All right, let's go back to gear number 2. Let's see what that does. And of course, there's a bunch of traffic. Perfect timing. Don't mind me in this ridiculous getup, wearing this ridiculous helmet on a bicycle that doesn't work. All right, here we go. Full speed. This is pathetically slow. Trying to go faster. Here we go. Ah. Yep, my chain just went. Well, there goes my chain. Wow, that failed catastrophically. It didn't last long. Okay, that was fun.
Well, it lasted. Let's just put that in my pocket. Okay, I guess gotta push it back. Well, that was fun for all of 2 minutes. Well, that was fun. That lasted all of 2 minutes. It's hard not to feel like this is a failure, but for me, I'm looking at this as just a learning point. We're learning things of what doesn't work and what works. Clearly, this doesn't work, so now we just gotta find what works. And how much of this are we gonna have to rebuild to make this work? And I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised at how torquey this motor is. Because this motor feels like it has way more torque than my electric dirt bike. So, and like a fraction of the speed. This motor really doesn't spin that fast. And it feels like it has nothing but torque.
Well, that failed catastrophically. Now, I was kind of hoping it was going to last a little bit longer than just, you know, a minute and a half going up the road. I really wanted to see how fast we could go with the kind of gearing that we could have. Now, here's the question, because I kind of feel like if I really wanted to, I could get this setup to work. Not work great, but I could at least get it to where it doesn't catastrophically fail the first time I take it out test driving. I feel like if I tune the controller to lower the torque ratings, as well as increase the RPM. I'm really hoping I can tune the controller to increase the RPM, because I'll admit this thing is a little slow. But if I replace the chain with a better chain, because this chain I bought, I've put it back together. It's not hard to fix this chain. Just figure out what links broke, cut them out, and replace them with new links. So I did put the chain back on. But this chain is like, I bought it like for 18 bucks on Amazon, so it's probably not that great quality. I feel like if I went to a bike store, I could get way better quality chain that maybe isn't going to snap so easily. And these sprockets on this rear tire are really worn out, so it's probably why it's skipping teeth. And I feel like maybe if I replace it with new sprockets, maybe I could get this setup to work, but it's not going to work as great as I would like it to. So here's the question of, how soon do I give up on this? How soon do I admit defeat on the whole bicycle chain idea with an 8,000 watt hub motor? Do I give up now and just build this thing to where it is going to definitely work? Or do I try and see if I can get this to work with the bicycle chain, get, you know, much better quality chain, get new sprocket cassettes, and just tune down the controller? I don't know. How much do we want to really play around with this? Or should we just like, okay, we had our fun, we tried it, we figured out it doesn't work. So let's now build it to finally get this thing. Because my plan is, I do have a plan on how to get this thing to where I think is definitely going to work. I want to build a whole new custom rear tire that's still going to have a mountain bike tire and a mountain bike rim, but I want to get much bigger spokes, as well as custom machine a hub that has bigger bearings, bigger axle. We're still going to use the brake discs because the brakes work fine, but I'm going to replace the bicycle chain and sprocket with a 40 series chain and sprocket and just do one-to-one gearing. That's my plan on how to get this setup to work, and I'm hoping that once I do that, I can tune the controller to get way more RPM out of this motor, because I'll admit, when I was in one-to-one gearing going up the road, I was full throttle in mode 5, which is the fastest mode that this thing can do in the current setup. And I'll admit, this thing is not very fast. So if I can't tune the controller to get way more RPM out of this thing, I may just get a new controller. Anyway, I'm going to take a little break from this project. I'm not giving up on this thing. I'm just, I really need to start working on rebuilding the CBR 1000 engine, so I'm going to put this thing to the side. And we're going to continue this project soon, and once we do that, we're either going to try and get this to work with the chain, bicycle chain and everything, or we're just going to admit defeat with the bicycle chain and rebuild the back tire and put 40 series chain on this thing. But anyway, Guys, that's it for this video. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video. So one thing I'd love to try, and I kind of wanted to, let me know in the comments if you guys would like to see this, because it's not that hard to take this motor out and put it in something else. I had an idea. Do you guys remember that YZ85 shifter cart that, come on, get this, I can't get this head strap on. Remember that YZ85 shifter cart that I had? I would love to, just in one video, slap this motor on the YZ85 and just see what that thing will be like electric. Let me know in the comments below if you guys would like that video. I think that'd be a fun, you know, project that we can do. Alright, that's way too down. Try that.